Disclaimer. This episode contains graphic descriptions of violence that may be disturbing to some listeners. Please be advised.
Hello.
Hey there.
I'm Taylor.
I'm Mandy.
I'm Amanda.
We are Pop, Crime, and Wine.
Yeah.
Pop, crime, wine. That's what we are.
We talk about pop culture. We talk about true crime while we drink vino. That's
Vino.
pretty great.
See.
This is the life.
See.
And this, before we get started, this week, our sponsor is my best friend, Marjorie Stewart Baxter.
Ooh, thanks, Marjorie.
We've partied together.
Yeah. We all have, because she was
Yeah.
one of my maids of honor in my wedding. I couldn't choose between my two best friends, so.
Yep.
But my other best friend, Melissa Potts, was our first sponsor. So if you
That's
haven't heard that episode, you should go back and listen. 19 Crimes. So she just told me that she was going to sponsor me. Well, us.
Yeah, what are you trying to say? She likes you more
Just
than us?
Amanda. Amanda's drinking this whole
you can
bottle.
have this whole bottle of wine and they can just drink water. She wanted to sponsor us, but she just said to like pick out a glass of wine or bottle. And so I picked out Seaglass because she's from Florida and she is my own personal sea
Aw,
glass.
that's so
That's
sweet.
real cute.
So here we go.
Thanks, Marjorie. Oh, that was the worst
shit.
pop of
That
ever.
was a non-pop. An unpop.
Oh, that's weird that it didn't pop at all. Does that mean it's still good?
No, I think it's good. I think it's because I used this new corkscrew and it broke the whole cork in half.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
so it
That
already
definitely
released the
makes
pressure.
sense. Okay.
Before you popped it off.
Wow. Very anticlimactic.
Sorry, guys.
Sorry.
Wow. There
There
you
you
go.
go.
Nice.
I
Nice
did that
one.
with my mouth. That's what she said.
I did that with my mouth.
Yeah, it's because I didn't know how to use this corkscrew, and it definitely went like all down the side.
Yep, that makes
Cool.
sense. So we're just going to have a little cork in our wine.
Maybe.
A little cork never hurt anybody.
Nope. No, it didn't.
So, while Amanda's pouring, I was going to ask you guys something.
Yeah?
And then I forgot.
Forgot what you were going to ask
Yeah.
us? You got nothing.
It's gone.
But then you were like, I'm still going to tell them that I was going to ask them something.
I know. 'Cause
Or
I
did you
thought,
forget
like song
mid-sentence?
lyrics? Yeah, I thought it was like song lyrics where you just like, you're like, I don't actually know the song, but if I keep singing, like it'll just keep coming.
Mm,
But it didn't.
yeah. That's a bummer.
So Taylor has, wait, who has crime this week?
I do.
Amanda has crime this week.
Thank you.
Thank you very, very much.
You're welcome.
Those aren't the real lyrics.
That's the radio version.
The edited version. All right, so what crime do we have?
Okay.
Who did what to who?
Yeah, so there's a couple when I was researching this crime, the reason that I got interested in it, well, you'll find out that later, I guess. But actually, I think I can just say it.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, I researched this crime. This woman, Angela Samota, was brutally murdered at age 20. And for years, her crime went unsolved until her best friend, this is why I chose this, because, hey, shout out Marjorie. Her best friend kept, like, going back to it and eventually solved her
it?
murder.
Oh, nice.
And I think that it's really interesting because that's, like, one of those things that we're all really interested in. And I remember, like, when we worked with the ID channel and we got to talk to Gloria, who she was helping solve the murder of her cousin.
Yeah.
So I just think it's cool
Pretty
that
incredible.
like any of us could just help solve a
a murder.
murder.
That's crazy.
The one thing that I did think is kind of sad. Well, I mean, obviously it's sad, but that it's such a huge case in like their lives, but it's one of those things that we've never heard of. So like everybody that is part of this case, their whole lives were totally changed forever. And so I just think that it was really interesting. So I'm going to just talk about it.
Yeah.
You guys ready?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. So Angela Samota. Oh, actually, I didn't even try the wine. Did you?
It's
It is.
very
Yeah,
good.
it is good.
It is.
I
It's
enjoy
almost
it very
like-
much.
Like
It smells.
whiskey in the way that it
It
like,
warms your throat.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
like immediately
I was just
warmed
gonna say
my
that.
esophagus.
I have ice in mine, and it still warmed my throat.
It's-
So that's
I don't
interesting.
know if it's this glass or the wine, but it kind of smells like the beach.
It could. Maybe there's
Okay.
a reason. What does it say on the bottle? We should
Yeah.
read the
Oh,
bottle.
where is it? Where is it from?
Patiently, nature transforms humble elements into something timeless and transcendent. This Cabernet Sauvignon captures the best of Paso. How do you say this? Paso Robles, unique terror.
Got me.
Terror.
Terror.
What? It's spelled Terroir.
Oh, terroir.
Yeah, that's better.
Something with a wa in it.
Is it like terrain? Can I just say that?
I don't know.
I have no idea. That sounds French to me.
I don't know this stuff. It's from California.
Weird.
Stupid.
Oh, but not stupid because we do enjoy it. Thanks, Seaglass.
Oh, sorry, Seaglass.
you should
But
revise
you-
your
Yeah, let us help
description.
you edit your description for us.
I'm like terroir,
Unrefined folk.
terrier.
Terror.
The best of
I was like,
Paso
terror.
Robles unique terrier.
I was like,
That's
you mean
nice.
terror?
That's what I was afraid of, but it's not. Bold aromas of plum and cherry are beautifully balanced with hints of vanilla spice. The soft tannins and toasty oak on the palate pair nicely with grilled steak or braised meats.
Ooh, I could go for some grilled steak right now.
I also
That
feel
sounds
like
great.
they make it sound super fancy.
Well,
Was it fancy? Like fancily priced?
No,
Oh,
it's only like a $13 bottle of wine.
hey.
Which
That's
is
right up our alley.
I think
perfect for us.
$13 is like the perfect mid-range. You either get like a $2.99,
$2
or a
chuck.
$3.
chuck.
Is it $2
It's
chuck?
$3
Yeah.
chuck.
$3
now, I
chuck.
think. I think it went up.
Or
wow.
You
I'm
get a
disappointed.
$90 one, or you're like 13 sounds about right.
I feel like there's a few in between that. TT.
You think?
Between 13 and 90.
No, I think you're either like I'm gonna go full in and get a $90 one, or I'm gonna just spend 13 because all the ones in between are the same.
Arrington's like 25, and I spend
Oh,
all
are
my
they?
money there.
Oh,
Shout
We should go to
out.
Arrington.
we
soon.
do love Arrington. Yeah, maybe we should go there soon. It is getting
Have a
nice out.
picnic.
Can we
They just
talk
started
really quick about how
weekend.
beautiful it is?
It is beautiful.
Oh.
They
It's
just started
almost
their
80 degrees
music
today.
this weekend. Today, actually.
Yeah.
We should go.
We should go. Can I take Chuck?
No.
That sucks.
Sorry, Chuck. Chuck the dog.
I wanted to be like, of course you could take Chuck. Why did you even ask that? And then I realized, like, oh, it's because we're going to like a public establishment. I would
But if
like.
she was a service dog, you probably could.
But she's not.
But she should be because she's like
yeah,
great.
but what service would you
Yeah,
need?
but she literally,
Therapy.
she only knows sit, and then after that, she just gets scared of everything that you ask of her.
She's like a therapy dog.
Maybe you're her therapist.
She's mine. That's for damn sure. Okay, let's talk about Angela.
Okay, yes. So
What was her name again?
Angela Samota. People
Samota.
call her Angie. So on the sorry, I don't have dates. I'm trying to find dates.
I was going to ask what year this was in or decade.
It was in the 80s.
Okay,
Why don't I have dates?
because you're married.
Oh,
Taylor just hiccuped. Apparently, that's why I got kicked out of the bar the other night.
because you're hiccuping.
You got kicked out of the bar?
I did.
It's probably a good thing that we got kicked out at that time.
Yeah, that was probably a good time to end the night.
Yeah. Because right after that, I died.
Well, apparently right before that I died.
We all just died. It's fine. We're
Literally.
here now.
Okay, never mind. Should not talk about it.
Angela Samota was murdered on October 13th, 1984. So the night of her murder, she had gone out with a couple of friends. So she met this man named Russell Buchanan, and he is like this super big architect, and he in Dallas, Texas. And she was in school, and he had like graduated from college already, and she was very big about like finding connections. So everyone that she talked to, everyone she met, like she was really big about like making connections with people. She was very pretty, long blonde hair. Everyone said that she had angel eyes, which were both inviting and impossible
Angel
at the same time.
eyes.
Yeah.
Wasn't that a J-Lo song or something?
It was definitely a song.
What I think is funny is that like it makes me think of that meme that's like, whenever I die, don't make up shit about me. Like,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I was not always
I
nice.
was not
I was
always
not
nice.
always kind.
Yeah. So like when I was reading about her, I was like, was she though?
Did she
Or did
actually
you
have
make this
angel
up about
eyes?
her? But everyone that they talked to about her after her murder said the same thing. She was super bubbly. She was the social chairman of her sorority. I'm not even going to try. At the Southern Methodist University. She was also smart, a Hockaday alum, now studying computer science and electrical engineering, which at that time, like, women didn't study that. So I thought that that was pretty cool. So she asked Buchanan to come hang out with her and her friend Anita on a Friday night. And he was like, sure, whatever. And she said that, like, her boyfriend, so she had a boyfriend, Ben McCall, and he, like, knew all about their plans and that they were all going to go out. And so whenever Buchanan was asked about it, he said that every place that they went, it was crowded with Texas University fans. They ended up at Lakewood's Boardwalk Beach Club. Buchanan still remembers that the floor was covered in white sand and that they had set up a volleyball net inside, which I was like, what a cool bar.
Yeah.
The friends headed over to Shannon Wine's Nostromo restaurant, where Samota got them into the upstairs club, the Rio Room.
Ooh.
They enjoyed champagne and dancing. Buchanan said that Angie was going table to table talking to everyone because she knew, like, literally everyone in the room. The two women dropped Buchanan off around 1 a.m. at his apartment at Matilda Street, which was a 5-minute walk from Samota's condo. He says he went to bed and fell asleep. On the way home, she stopped and talked to her boyfriend, Ben, around 1:30 to surprise him and say goodnight. They spoke briefly in his doorway, according to him, and then she went home. Around 1:45, so 15 minutes later, Ben said that he got a call from Samota, Angie, saying that there was a man in her condo asking to use the phone and the bathroom. It's not clear if the man was already there when she got home or if he was invited in. There were no signs of forced entry. Talk to me, she told him. The two chatted, and then Samota said she would call him right back, and then she never did. He tried calling her, but got no answer. Worried, he drove to her condo. The door was locked, and nobody responded when he knocked. McCall was a construction supervisor and had an early generation mobile phone installed in his truck, which is so crazy.
Wow,
like,
in the 80s?
Yeah. So
My grandpa used to sell them.
Crazy.
my grandma had them, but like the fact that he had one like then is crazy.
Yeah.
And so he called information because 911 wasn't around then and was connected to the police. And then officers broke through the door at 2:17 a.m. and discovered Samota. So she had been raped and then stabbed 18 times. There are photos that were shown in court, and she was found lying naked and covered in blood on her bed next to her giant stuffed rabbit. Both of her legs were dangling over the side of the bed, and her eyes were still open.
Oh.
Yeah, they like saw. You okay? Oh, Mandy
Mandy
literally
has a
holding rabbit.
stuffed rabbit right now, and it's so weird.
That is really weird. I didn't even think about that.
Oh, creepy.
That's so funny. It is It is crazy to me whenever I was reading about this is that like I've called Mark and been like, hey, talk to me. Like I feel uncomfortable right now.
Yeah.
Like just talk to me on the phone so that so like
I've done that like walking to parking garages and
Yeah.
stuff.
yeah, definitely. Or
I've like pretended I was on the phone.
I
yeah,
have
too,
to. No, I
yeah.
have to.
And like one time I was cleaning this place and I thought I heard someone upstairs, and so I pretended to be on my phone. I was like, "Hi, 911. Yes, I'm calling to, inform you that there's an intruder, da da da." And I was like, "I do have a gun." Yes. And I'm like,
Oh my
saying
God.
things to make it sound like whoever's up there better get the F out of wherever they are, because I'm not joking.
You're so paranoid when you clean.
I know I am.
yeah, I feel like there's been other stories that you've told on
When you
here
make crazy
about
faces.
things that have,
I always
That
do
one.
that just because
Yeah.
I think,
like dancing and pretending like
it's when I'm alone in a space and the doors are closed and like I'm in a home and it's an unfamiliar place. So I'm like, someone could be hiding in a closet.
I was watching the new Amy Schumer
I haven't seen that
special on
yet.
Netflix.
Is it funny?
I thought that it was funny because I've never thought that she was funny before.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think she's funny. I
I
think that
didn't
You
she
watched
was
some of her
Stanley-
old specials?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't think she's funny. I think that she
Oh.
overdoes the I'm fat and can't get a date
Yeah.
joke. Like
Yeah.
nobody cares about that bit. So like I feel like she just I feel like it's funny like once, maybe twice. But that was like all she ever did.
Yeah. I disliked her in the beginning because the first time I ever heard about her was the roast of Charlie Sheen, I think.
Oh yeah.
And then that
yeah,
other
that
guy
was
from
terrible.
Jackass was there, and she said something about wishing it was him, Steve-O,
Yeah.
instead of the guy who
Yeah.
died. And I'm like, that's
That's
poor
terrible.
taste.
Yeah.
Even at a roast.
A roast. Yeah,
I
that's too
remember
far.
that.
And then I saw her stand up, and I think she's pretty funny. And I also like enjoy like her movie, the I Feel Pretty movie,
Oh, I
where she
haven't- I
wakes up
haven't
and
seen it
she's
yet.
like, I'm beautiful. Like it's so
She like
good.
hits her head or whatever.
I haven't
Oh.
seen that one yet. But I do I liked Trainwreck. Like I thought that one
Oh yeah,
was
that
funny.
was really
I
good.
haven't seen that
Um,
either.
But anyway, in her stand up, sorry, we digress. She talks about how they did this study and women's number one fear is violence. And like it makes sense because that's literally all we ever think about. She was like,
Yeah,
you walk
protecting
through
ourselves.
you walk through like a parking garage and you have your key in between your fingers, like this like makeshift
Shank.
brass
Yeah.
knuckles or whatever. And she was like, what the F is that gonna do for you? Like
Yeah.
it's probably not gonna do anything, but
Oh, and
we
I'm,
feel
like,
better doing
Literally
it. We're like,
going
yeah, let me go.
from the car to my front door and unlocking it. I'm still like
Looking
constantly
back.
looking
Yeah.
around me.
Circling at all
And then
points.
she says that men's number one fear
Being like
is ridicule.
oh.
Oh,
So being made fun of.
interesting.
So we're out here
so
trying not to get
different. Yeah,
murdered,
right.
and they're mad that we would make fun of them.
Yeah.
yeah.
Like, but
There was
That
that
makes
study
sense,
about
though.
what's your first fear on your first date, and women's is obviously getting raped and murdered or something, and men's is that she's fat.
wow.
Well, I think mine going on dates, I guess before I started listening to a bunch of true crime stuff, I wasn't as paranoid. And so I'd be like, I hope that he likes me. Like the worst thing that could happen is that he's not interested in me.
The worst thing that would happen for me was that I wasn't interested.
Yeah.
And then I was like,
Oh, well,
I gotta
then
go
you
to
could
the
just peace
bathroom.
out.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I never went on dates.
Yeah, well, you found your winner before all that.
I never went on dates.
I didn't.
Wow.
I've been on like maybe 2 dates. I think I talked about it
Yeah.
before, so we all know how terrible they went, and we don't need to bring it
I
up.
went on all the dates.
Okay, so they
anyway,
found
they found her body.
Yes.
And then the day after, they had found her body early in the morning. That day, Buchanan got up early to go to a wedding in Dallas and flew away to go visit his family in Houston. And then he eventually came back and didn't see a newspaper, didn't know anything. And he didn't really know her that well. He just met her once or twice. And so he got back late Sunday and went straight to work on Monday. And then that was when the police showed up at his door because he was their number one suspect.
Yeah.
So he got arrested and was taken down to the I almost said airport.
Down to the
cannot
airport.
speak. I didn't have enough coffee today. I'm so sorry, peeps. I also just called you peeps. So
It's close to Easter.
Yeah, let's go with that.
I don't like Peeps though.
Neither do I. So there were 3 suspects. Samota's boyfriend, McCall, which he was he was the one who called the police. And then an old ex-boyfriend from her hometown of Abilene who had once cut up her clothes in a rage and threatened her with a knife.
Oh, it's him.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
I was like,
Definitely,
duh.
yeah,
Definitely that
obviously.
guy. And then Russell Buchanan. So DNA science was still like really new back then. They were able to collect blood and semen samples from Samota's body. McCall and the ex-boyfriend were both excluded from being at the scene because theirs did not match the intruder's blood type. Buchanan's was a match.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
But at that point, it was just like either A, B, or O.
Yeah, like you just have to have the same blood type. Because they couldn't really like semen
Test. Yeah.
wasn't like you couldn't like nowadays you can do a lot more
Yeah.
than what you could back then.
Yeah.
So for 6 months after the murder, police detectives regularly picked him up. They had no other evidence, and he didn't have an alibi because he was asleep, and then he left town the next day, so that was super suspicious. And he took a lie detector test and passed it. So they just like kept randomly coming to his house and picking him up. And he did say that he was grateful to his coworkers because no one stopped talking when he was in the room. Like when he walked in a room, nobody like stopped. So detectives decided that he was guilty, but like his friends and coworkers didn't.
Yeah.
So I like that aspect of it. I feel like that makes his life a little bit better.
Yeah. It's like if I was convicted of murder, you guys wouldn't believe it, right?
I'd have to look at the evidence.
Same.
We are unbiased
That's not
crime
nice.
junkies.
I think that I would believe them because I feel like you would ask me to help you hide it. So if you didn't ask me to help
Actually,
you
yeah,
hide
that's
it,
a fair point.
then I would be
If
like,
you didn't
oh,
tell me
shit.
I feel
ahead
like
of
she
time-
definitely didn't do it.
Yeah, I was like, she
because
didn't
I
tell
feel
me,
like we're
so
close enough that we would know.
she
Yeah.
would have told me.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
guys would have been arresting me too. So
Yeah, that would be like my whole argument. I'd be like, I obviously don't know about this, so
so you're wrong.
didn't do it. So they decided that he was guilty, and Buchanan vividly recalls them holding up graphic crime scene photos of Samota's body and demanding his confession. At one point, there's a tape of them telling him, she dropped you off. You were mad because you wanted to have sex with her. You went down to her apartment. She let you in. You had sex with her. She started to scream. You stabbed her, and you stabbed her and stabbed her and stabbed her 18 times.
Oh.
that is overkill. Like
Yeah,
that's
it's too many
That's like
times.
rage kill, right? Like
yeah,
passion.
and he was only 23, and she was 20.
That's so sad.
And he like kept going to the he kept going back and forth into the detectives, and they kept asking him, and he was like, I don't know what to do. Like, I'd never been in a I've never gone to like the police department. Like, I feel like if I was arrested, I would be like, I don't know, whatever you want. Like, I mean, I've watched enough crime shows, but I also like would be
In the
I
moment,
get so
you'd be absolutely
nervous. Like, I
terrified.
always think that I do something wrong, even
Yeah.
when I'm not doing
Yeah.
something wrong.
It's like driving down the street and then there's a cop car behind you and you're like, am
Like,
I
oh,
going the
shit.
speed limit?
Yeah.
Am I going
Yeah.
too fast?
Have a headlight out?
Exactly. Am I at 10 and 2? Like,
Yeah.
what am I supposed to be doing? Are all my mirrors correct? Like, I think about all that stuff. So I can see how he would be nervous. So going back to her best friend, Sheila Wysocki? We'll go with Wysocki because it's easier for me to say. So they had become best friends in college, and when she found out that her best friend was murdered, she said that it was the most traumatic event of her life. And she was like, I didn't know what to do. I couldn't feel anything. She was like, it was years before I did. She dropped out of college. She said that her innocence was just gone. She slept on the floor in her mom's room for like a really long time. And she started working with the detectives and would talk to them, and like, because like whenever someone dies, you ask all the close people around them. So she was working with the detectives. They started asking about Russell Buchanan, and she was like, oh, well, he makes me feel uncomfortable. And so then she decided that she would work with the detectives and started talking to Russell. And she wore a wire and was trying to like work with the detectives to like catch him saying
get him
something.
to
She said that I think I would have done just about anything to help, and with encouragement from the police, I started having conversations with Russell to ask him about that night and to see if he told me something different than what he had told them. We decided to go out to dinner. I remember my mom flipping out, but Russell came and picked me up, and we went to a place called August Moon. I was nervous and not acting like myself, thinking I'm sitting next to a murderer because, of course, I thought he did it because the police said he did it.
Right.
Afterwards, when I talked to the detective, I said his story is the same. It's what he told me before. But they kept bringing him down and getting him for interviews. She said that back in Texas in the 80s, there was this really famous attorney called Richard Racehorse Haynes. And if you got Racehorse Haynes, by God, you were guilty. And so she like was kind of questioning if he was guilty or not. She was like, I think he's guilty because he makes me feel uncomfortable.
But also, you can just be a creepy guy and not be a murderer.
Well, from what I've read, I don't think he was that creepy. I think that like...
or she
the
just
fact
had it
that
in her
someone
head.
said he was the murderer makes him creepy.
Like, because
you know?
his pictures, he's very attractive. He's an architect. Like, I'm just picturing someone from like a movie.
Played by Bradley Cooper.
Yeah, like he's
Or
gotta be handsome.
Chris Pratt.
What's the guy?
Chris
what's
Pine.
the guy in
Ooh, Chris Pine.
Any of the Chris's, really.
Yeah, never mind.
Who are you
Can't think of
thinking
him.
Who's
I was
that?
thinking of the guy from. It's like an older movie because this is back in the 80s. So
Right.
Richard Gere.
not Richard Gere, but he was in that movie with what's Wolverine's name?
Hugh
Jackman.
Hugh Jackman,
Jackman.
yeah. And Ashley Judd.
Oh, I don't know.
He's like a very
Love Ashley Judd.
normal looking guy. You don't remember that movie?
Nope.
Could have been Paul Rudd. He's
Paul Rudd. I love
did you
Paul
see that?
Rudd.
Let's just say that
I'm
he's
sorry.
Paul Rudd.
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Paul
He's
Rudd.
Paul Rudd.
But he
Not creepy at all.
Right.
No.
But he probably killed your best friend, so it makes him more creepy. Actually, I feel like Paul Rudd is
Paul
bad.
Rudd's just not
We
creepy at
can't
all.
pick Paul Rudd because he's like so perfect. I love him. I'm
Okay,
just picturing Clueless right now, and I'm like,
Hold
oh,
on.
he's so adorable.
Oh, Ryan, who was married to Reese Witherspoon.
Ooh.
Ryan Felipe.
Yeah.
That's who he is. He's like attractive, but he could also have murdered somebody.
Yeah, like from Cruel Intentions.
Yep,
He was like real,
for
like,
sure.
like jerky.
And he puts on his sunglasses and he's got that gelled up hair, spiky
Yeah.
and shit.
He's like secretive. Do you know who we're talking about?
Oh, Ryan Felipe.
Never seen Cruel Intentions.
You should watch it. It's so great.
I just watched Stepford Wives last night for the first time ever.
That would not have been on my list of things to watch.
I know, but it was on Michael's.
Was it good though? Because I remember that being a good movie.
It was so
Yeah, I mean,
good.
I think it's good, but I don't think it's like it's not on my list of wow, you have to watch this.
Well,
Like
you-
This
I
is
haven't
Ryan
tried to be.
Felipe.
Hold on.
Put on your glasses. Right? He's attractive, but he could also have a creepy side.
Yeah,
He looks a little bit like he could be related to Channing Tatum.
He murdered somebody.
probably.
Anywho. Okay.
Anyway, Russell lawyered up and got Racehorse Haynes, which means that he's totes guilty to like
Totes my
everybody
goats.
around him.
Like he's going to be convicted.
Yeah, like Avi. But then there was no physical evidence that they could. What, are you making fun of me saying Avi?
Yes.
Well, you
You've never
just
said
said
that in your
totes.
whole life.
I know.
You
I
said
don't think
totes
I
my
ever say
goats.
it actually.
I
It was
said
just weird.
I say
Sorry.
obvi via text, but I don't say it
in real life.
in real life.
Yeah, I
Like
think I'm the
LOL.
same.
To me.
Sorry, it just caught me off guard. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was feeling my like Valley girl.
No, I loved
Avi.
it. Avi, yeah.
Avi.
I'm drinking Seaglass over here.
Yes.
Okay.
Totally.
So he was never charged because they couldn't ever find enough evidence against him. And our friend, she was like, okay, well,
Sheila.
yeah, was why something. Sheila
Wasabi.
Waisaki. I want to
Oh,
say
Waisaki.
wasabi. That's why I had to stop. I was like,
Oh.
Wasabi.
Okay, so Sheila was like, I'm a very curious person. I needed to know, like, why did this happen? Who did this? And so she kept working with the investigators and the detectives. Like, she was so close to one of the detectives that she invited him to her wedding in 1988. And then 20 years later, in 2004, Sheila had moved to Nashville
Oh.
and had 2 sons and was like living her life. And she just like had this really strong feeling. Okay, I'll say what she said because I'm telling the story. So she was reading in her Bible and she looked up and she just saw Angie standing there and was like smiling at her. And she was like, am I dreaming? Am I asleep? I don't know. She was like, nobody talked to me, nothing. I just saw her and her smile. And she's like, I don't believe in ghosts. And she's like, but I do have a lot of faith and I believe that there are messages. And at that moment, I thought it's time. And so she started calling the police department again. So 20 years later, I think it was one of those things where she just was like on her mind kind of
Right,
thing.
yeah. And she's like, I
And-
don't want to forget about her.
Yeah. And she was like, it's time to like close this case. It's been 20 years. No one has like done anything. So she called the police in Dallas and was like, hey, can I talk to the cold case division? And they were like, oh, no, we don't have that, but you can just call like homicide. And so she got transferred and asked for the detective that she knew that she had invited to her wedding that still worked there and left a message. And he never called her back. And she said that she called over 700 times.
Huh.
Go, Sheila.
She just like kept calling. And she said that like nobody else had ever called. Like she was the only one that had called to like, and that she said was the most heartbreaking thing was that like she's the only one
Yeah,
that
that was
was
even-
the
moved
answer.
on.
And so during that time, she became friends with like her security guard at her gated community. And they were like, you know what? You'd make a great private investigator. And she was like, you know what? That's a good idea. So in 2004, she was in her 40s and she just decided to become a private investigator. And
Can you just do that?
Yeah.
well,
You could
she
just
said
do
that,
it?
yeah, you have to be sponsored by a company. And because she had become such close friends with the security guys in her neighborhood, they sponsored her.
That's wonderful.
And they helped train her. And she says that at night after dinner, my oldest son would read all the Tennessee laws that I had to know and to me because she was dyslexic. And she said I'd have to say them back to him. I acted like I was about to attend Harvard or Yale. By the time I got to the private investigator exam, I knew it. She learned about cyberbullying, copyright laws on the internet, and cheating spouses. She started at like all of her friends and coworkers and like personal people in her lives were hiring her to like do private investigation for them. She was like, I had to stop going to cocktail parties because I knew too much about everyone.
Oh my God. I want to be that.
Right? Well, I don't know if I want to know things.
Yeah, I
about
want to
people.
go to all the cocktail parties.
Yeah, I just want that part. So she so now that she had her private investigator license, she was like, oh, they're going to totally talk to me now. And she called the police again and they still were like, we don't care. And so eventually they like had been worn down so much that they like just gave it to another female detective and they were like, here, you deal with it. And then she read the case, did her homework, learned all about it, knew that Russell Buchanan was the number one suspect, and then called Sheila and said, yeah, we have evidence. And
Against him?
Well, they had evidence. So
So they just didn't do the new tests?
No, well, it was a cold case. Sheila said that she knew that there had been a rape kit done on Angie, but had been told that the evidence had been lost in a flood. But it wasn't.
Wow.
They had Angie's fingernails, so she obviously fought back, which is DNA, and they had semen, which is DNA.
Oh my God.
So there's this huge process that you have to go through, and the police department had to do a request for it. So this was in 2008 finally that she was able to like talk to them. So
wow.
another 4 years later, so this is 24 years later after, and then they got their test results back in 2009.
And who was it?
Hold on.
Okay. Sorry.
She said that she picked up the phone and the female detective said, "We got him." So she was waiting for Russell Buchanan's name, and he did not. That was not the name that she got.
It was the ex-boyfriend who had the knife to her neck.
Do you have any guesses?
Yeah, what's your guess?
It was her friend.
Oh,
It was her boyfriend.
Oh, the boyfriend.
Oh,
Okay.
Okay.
Donald Andrew Bess.
Someone new.
Yes.
Mm.
So
Was he some sort of security guard?
hold on. Do you want me to tell you the
I
story?
I like guessing and then being right.
You're not going to get it right.
Damn it.
Okay. So at this point, he was 60 years old and was 350 pounds.
Ew.
He was twice convicted as a rapist, serving a life sentence at a state prison in Huntsville. Police theorized that Bess, who was out on parole in 1984, became fixated on Samota after spotting her at a bar.
Wait, he wasn't 60 when this happened.
No, like
this
now,
is just like
60.
24 years
Yeah,
later.
so
Okay.
now, like when they did the DNA evidence,
Yeah.
that's who they matched, which is probably good because he was already in prison. So like they had all of
Yeah.
his DNA evidence.
Yeah.
So they'd have to go find him.
Yeah. So police believe Bess followed her home that night. They thought he probably began stabbing Samota with a kitchen knife to silence her when her boyfriend, Ben McCall, knocked on the door. Bess may have finished the crime while McCall called the police from his truck and searched the neighborhood. 26 years later, they found out who had done it, and the police immediately apologized to Buchanan, and he was like, he made this statement, and I thought that it was really cool. He said, he testified against Bess at Bess's capital murder trial in June 2010. He said, "It wasn't their fault. If that was your daughter that had been killed, wouldn't you want the police department to use whatever means necessary to find the truth? I would. As far as I'm concerned, the Dallas Police Department does not owe me an apology. They never did. I'm grateful for the work and the service they did. That's it, period." And I thought that
good.
was really
Yeah.
cool.
Very tactful.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, his whole life, like,
Classy.
yeah.
Because I would have been like, you could have spent that time looking for the right
Yeah.
person. and
Yeah. Like, here I am being, like, interrogated.
Yeah.
So Bess was found guilty and later sentenced to death for Samota's murder. He currently remains on death row, but the case is on appeal and no execution date has been set. And then after all of this time, Sheila was like, okay, now that I finally like solved the case, I can just give up my investigation license. And then she was like, actually, I need to like
Keep
do
doing
this.
this.
Yeah. And she was like, maybe I won't, not yet. But she did call Russell, and she was like, I want to meet you and talk to you about the past. And she told him that like for years she thought that he was guilty and hated him. And she was like, I need to ask for your forgiveness. Like I like know that you're living your life, but like I've been hating you secretly for 26 years.
Oh man.
And he was like, no, like totally fine. And then the two of them went and visited
and then they got married.
Grave. No, they're both married separately.
Okay.
But they both went together to like visit Angie's grave, and I thought
That's
that
really
was really
sweet.
cool.
Yeah, that is sweet.
So he said that he was just really grateful to her because
I mean, she cleared his name at the same time.
He said thanks for being persistent and helping to find the truth, because the cloud of suspicion is finally off of him.
Wow.
What? So he's Ryan Felipe. Who would we have as her in a movie made about this? That's the real question.
I feel like she should be like Angela from The Office.
Either Angela from The Office, or I was thinking Brittany Murphy, like obviously before she died. Could have done
like
a great
to,
job.
keep it,
Yeah. I don't know why. I just pictured her.
As Sheila?
Her,
Yeah.
yeah.
Anyway.
I picture more like from Bones, Angela from Bones. That's who I went to.
Yeah, okay. Nothing about what she looks like at all. But I will say that I chose this murder because I want to make a public service announcement that if me or any of my friends get murdered, that we will never stop until we find the murderer.
We're going to become private investigators.
Yes.
We'll find you. We'll
So-
hunt you down.
Yeah. Don't murder my friends. I'll find you.
But I thought it was a really, like, I think it's just a cool story for, like, having someone else, like, be so like her best friend was so dedicated that she, like, called over 700 times and, like, did all this stuff and finally got it reopened.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Cold cases are so sad.
Yeah.
I'm glad when they can get solved.
Yeah, closed.
You never really hear that.
So there you go. That's my
Nice. That was a
crime.
good one.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Oh, thanks. Now I'm gonna.
I'm
sit
sure
here and
Marjorie's
drink my
gonna
wine.
love it.
Yeah, Marge.
That's for you. Okay.
What'd y'all talk about?
Now it's time to get into our pop culture segment.
Drink all my wine. All right.
I haven't even started mine.
We about to talk about Olden Days.
We're going to talk about the olden days as a blanket statement.
I like the
Alright.
word Olden Days, but we could also say Middle Ages or medieval times if
Okay,
you'd
that's
rather.
not what I was picturing. So
I really
that-
like Olden Days, though. It sounds cooler.
When you say that, I think of like the 50s.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No.
I'm talking about like
I'm like going to
way
like
back.
1600 and like 1800.
1800, yeah.
Okay.
And yeah.
Yeah. So Middle Ages, medieval times, Olden Days. It's pretty much a period of European history from the 5th century to the 15th century. The Middle Ages follows the fall of the Western Roman Empire in 476 and precedes the early modern era. It is the middle period of a 3-period division of Western history: classic, medieval, and modern. So we talk medieval. I like to start off by like going through a couple like TV shows that,
Okay.
that I've seen
Like
that
Downton Abbey.
like
Monty Python.
like Monty Python. Yes.
Search for the Holy Grail.
And like the one that I'm watching right now, Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones.
Game
Which
of
is my
Thrones
favorite.
is not like medieval time.
Yeah, it is. Yes, it is.
When do you think it happened?
It's castles and queens and knights and shit.
And dragons.
Okay, but that was in their
that's
lore.
not real though.
I guess like in my mind, Game of Thrones is just like an alternate reality. So like I don't think of it in a time. It's like Lord of the Rings.
Take away the
Like,
Night Walkers and
take
the
away-
dragons.
Okay.
Take away the weird
Know what I
things that
mean?
don't actually exist, and you have medieval.
I mean, there was
times.
like people
Okay.
who believed in different gods and people who
Yeah.
believed in like the Lord of Light. And
Have you ever been to medieval times, like the restaurant / play?
in high school? Yeah.
No, but I've taken you to the Renaissance Fair, and it's basically the same
I
thing.
want to
Yeah.
go so badly.
Yeah, but it's the same time period.
Yeah.
So
I wanna
Game of
turkey
Thrones
leg.
is set in the same time period, and that's all I'm saying. It's
Yep.
not true. Obviously, all those people did not exist. But Game of Thrones, The Last Kingdom. Have you guys ever watched that?
No.
It's so good.
Why do I feel like that
I am
sounds...
Uhtred, son of Uhtred. That's like how it begins every single time.
No, I got nothing.
Okay, but it's really good. Nightfall, which I've never seen, and it's night with a K. You Get it? Nightfall.
Oh.
Yeah, but I haven't seen it.
Rain, I did used to watch,
I've
Got
heard of
nothing.
that one. My
but
cousin watches it.
it's pretty like
It's like
pop.
raunchy.
Yeah,
right?
and raunchy and
Vikings was set in,
Vikings.
and I
was really
loved
good.
that show.
Yeah.
Loved it.
Merlin and the Tudors,
Oh,
which
yeah.
I hear the Tudors is really good, but
Tudors
I've,
is great.
I've
yeah.
never seen it.
I'm related to Anne Boleyn, so
No big deal.
it's fine.
It's not
It's
a big
fine.
deal at all. Yeah. So I have a couple like really weird random facts about
Me
that time
too.
period. Perfect. Let's just kind of do that.
Yeah, weird facts about
Yeah.
medieval times.
I'm into it.
Yep.
So, did you know that in medieval times, pigs were kept as meat animals, often in a type of extensive husbandry that included foraging in forests? And, they saw pigs as really dangerous animals because sometimes they would eat children.
What?
Well, they really, in the pig's defense, they will eat whatever is placed in front of them.
Yeah, that's true.
They are like animal trash cans.
That-
Large
so
trash.
There were
pigs.
multiple accounts of pigs eating children.
but like not alive.
And, well, I don't know about that. I guess I didn't really do the depth research that I
Like
probably
if you want to get
should
rid of
have.
a body, give it to a pig.
I saw a pig eating, like a pig eats children. And I'm like, I'm putting
that
that
in
there for sure.
Adding it.
And animals were tried and convicted of crimes and sometimes even sentenced to death. How weird
That's
is
really
that?
sad. Like in what circumstance?
Like if they ate a child, they would be like, okay,
Well, they're gonna kill it anyway for its bacon and
they're
pork
like,
chops.
you need to go.
What about like a dog that like accidentally bit a little girl? And they're like,
See, I can
sentenced
see
to
that
death.
happening back then too, because people would do that. People do that now.
Yeah, I know, but that's just sad to me still, and I
It's
just
very
hate everyone.
sad. Yeah, like animals did not get the treatment that they deserved back then.
Still don't.
And sometimes eels were used as currency. So you'd go to like pay for your daily loaf of bread and you'd like give someone an eel.
Like an electric eel.
Yeah, sure.
I guess there's a lot of kinds of eels.
Yeah. Doesn't have
I
to
wonder
be
if
electric.
they were hard to like catch or something.
I don't think they are, because when I was overseas, we went to like one of these little like nature preserve things, and in the lake there were so many that you could just reach your hand in and like grab a couple out at the same time.
You're not from the medieval times. Like I mean, like
If
I
anything,
wonder,
there
like
was
why
probably
would
more
it be?
It was
back then.
more
But why
like
would it
it's a
be-
nature reserve, so it's like a natural. It's not like a zoo or something.
But why would it be currency? I feel like currency would be something that would be
Oh,
hard
that
to
would be
get.
hard to get. Well,
Or
I guess
valuable.
people were hungry, so if you like went so far to get an eel,
Yeah, that does take a lot of energy.
they would, Well, I guess I don't know.
I mean, everything took a lot of energy.
Yeah, back then.
back
There's
then.
no
'Cause
electronics.
They didn't have energy.
There's no,
Mhm.
yeah. Can you imagine like living back then and like not having a water heater?
or plumbing.
I think you
Or
wouldn't have anything to compare it
Light
to,
bulbs? I
so
guess, yeah.
you
But
wouldn't
if we
know.
went back in time, that shit would be awful.
You know what's funny
Yeah.
is I thought about it when I was like doing all this. I thought about like what's one of our like basic things like electricity, plumbing, a roof over our head. Like what's one thing
That you
that I
can't live
could
without.
that I couldn't live without? And if this was in Tennessee, if this was in Nashville, Tennessee,
air conditioning.
air conditioning. Because
I
I
knew where
am
that
a
was
northern
going.
creature and I just die in the summers here still. And without air conditioning, I think that I would actually like die from heat exhaustion or
Although
dehydration.
I do think like your body just gets used to what it's in.
Well,
you
then I
know?
would
Because
have to go
people
back
in
up to
Africa are like
Wisconsin.
outside all the time and it's fucking hot,
I know, but
and they live
they survive.
and just know that that's the
I-
norm.
But I would have to go up to like Canada, where they just don't have much of a summer.
Yeah, well, this is also, it's like a European, the medieval times kind of thing is like a European, it's all like
Like
England
France and
yeah. So most of the time when you're watching like Tristan and Isolde and like, all these
yeah.
these
It's really
medieval like
gross back
night
then.
times and like queens and kings and stuff, it's all happening in
I think I could
England.
do it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
as far as
The air-
Hygiene is kind of an issue though. Like,
you can wash your hair pretty easy. I mean, only because I go out west to hunt and
Mhm.
like I mean, we're like a little spoiled. Like we'll drive 45 minutes into town and go use one of their public showers or whatever. But I mean, that's like maybe every 4 or 5 days.
Do you know what I think would be the hardest thing for me? I don't think that it would be giving up any of like modern technology. I think it would be having to live with women not being as like equal as we are now.
Women did not have it good back
But
then.
what if it like right now, if everything just got cut and like internet got cut, electricity
Then I
got
think
cut,
I could do it.
then we could do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think I could adapt. I don't need I mean, I'm from Florida, so I'm used to like wicked heat.
Yeah.
And like
Wicked heat.
Wicked
You're like
heat.
a Boston Floridian.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like I could easily hunt and gather food to eat and fish.
Yeah, I could fish. I'd probably become like a pescatarian
Yeah.
because I wouldn't be able to kill. Well, it depends on how hungry I'd be.
Yeah. I'd probably
What
do
if I
fruits
killed
and
it
nuts.
and you ate it?
Oh, then I'd have no problem. Just like
Y'all
today.
I'll eat the meat that you kill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd just be hard for me to do it. But like I grew up fishing all the time, and so
Yeah.
that doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
But because I don't believe that fish have brains
Oh, they do.
or feelings.
There are brains in there, but they're small.
Yeah, like they're basically mush.
Yeah.
They're not like mammals.
Running off instinct. alone.
Did I tell you guys the story about how I went fishing with my family? Well, extended family, and then the guy who like had us fishing was gutting it and then put like the heart in my hand and let it was like beating in my hand still, even though it was dead, and I cried.
How
And then
long
I
ago
never
was
went
this?
fishing ever again.
It was last week.
This was when I
This
was
2 weeks ago.
I was probably like 11 or 12.
Well,
And I
that's
caught a
kinda
fish and the
traumatizing.
guy like cut it in half. And then he was like, here, put this in your hand. They like made me. They forced a heart into my hand that was still pumping. And I just started bawling my eyes out.
I had to pluck a
You're a
chicken, and
sensitive
I didn't
creature.
eat chicken for a long time because they like made me. I
It's
didn't have to kill it,
traumatizing.
but I
Fucking
watched them
chickens,
kill
though,
it
is
and then
another
plucked
thing.
it. And I remember like pulling out a feather and blood like squirting on me, and I was like, oh, like never again. So I didn't eat chicken for a long time, just because I like remember
Yeah.
that. But I grew up on a cow farm, and we like sent them to the slaughter, and then I
Yeah.
ate them for dinner. Like it was totally fine as long as I didn't have to do it.
Right.
We processed the deer that I first shot in my dad's garage, in his wood shop.
Yeah.
And honestly, it was kind of therapeutic as far as that goes, because it was like, I did this
yeah.
and we're going to use her to feed our family.
I feel like that's different because like I think a lot of people just hunt for fun, and
Yeah.
then I like the ones that like hunt more to eat.
Yeah.
I don't honestly know a lot of hunters that just hunt for fun. Like, I mean, yes, it's fun because it's something that I like do with my dad, and like it's something that I grew up doing as a hobby, but like the killing part isn't like, it's not
Isn't the fun
I
part.
guess.
Well, that's good that you are that way. I think there are people who are like, who feel more powerful when they kill something
Yeah.
and they're like, yes.
I think when it comes down to it, though, it's definitely like, I'm doing this the right way, and legally and ethically, and
Yeah.
I think most of the people that I know anyway
It
do.
doesn't have as many like chemicals in it, like
Yeah.
Right.
the ones we buy at the
Exactly, yeah.
store. That's why I like it.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think I could do it.
So one random funny fact to me that I found was breast implants back in the day.
People did that?
Yeah. The first breast augmentation surgery was 1895 by some guy that I cannot pronounce his name. I'm not even gonna try. The doctor needed to make breasts of his patient even after he cut out a tumor. So I guess she had breast cancer. And they used different materials such as ivory, glass balls, ground rubber, and other fillers. They literally put glass
Ground
balls.
Rubber.
Balls of glass.
That would be lumpy and hard.
And ground up rubber.
Weird.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
So obviously they would probably get infected and
Yeah. And
probably die from gangrene or something.
I really like the art from the Middle Ages.
Yeah.
Yeah, the art is
I
really,
studied
really
a lot
good.
of that. And
Yeah.
It is doctors would drill holes in people's heads to release evil spirits.
yeah,
So that was a thing.
they've done that for a while.
And well, they call it letting.
Mhm.
They do that they think that they're letting out the poison in your blood.
So is it like a lobotomy, except you're letting out fake
Well, they
creatures?
would, yeah, they thought that it was like
instead of
if
air
somebody was like
pressure.
mentally ill or like schizophrenic or something, they
Yeah.
would assume that they have demons or
you know
the
they
devil.
still do that.
Yeah.
Do they really?
Yeah.
But letting even like on the skin, like they had these little like stamps almost where they would just like push down on it or whatever really fast, and it's these teeny tiny little needles, and it's like a square of needles, like a whole bunch of them, and they would just start, and then you just start bleeding. And so they would do like letting treatments because they thought that they were like cleansing your blood by letting it like circulate out.
No.
That's what they did
Yikes.
for like the flu and colds and stuff and whatever else.
For the flu?
Well, back then you could die from a cold.
Oh, man. That's
Yeah.
crazy. I found this really funny little piece of information that there was a unit of measurement that they called a butt. And so it was for wine. So you could literally have a buttload of wine.
Is
Was
that
that-
where it came from?
129 gallons.
You guys, we're going to get a buttload of wine for the next episode.
Let's have a buttload of wine, please.
That's where it came from.
Yeah, isn't
a
that funny?
buttload. That makes so much
129 gallons. That's a lot. That's a buttload.
That sounds like a party.
sense. That's a buttload.
For your like redo of your wedding, like another, you should have a buttload of wine.
Yeah, we're beer drinkers up north.
A buttload of beer.
A buttload of beer.
Yeah, I'm into it. There was also called a moment was actually a unit of time that was equal to 1.5 minutes. So there were 40 moments in an hour.
It's kind of sweet. I don't know. That's
It
kinda
sounds sweet, right?
But like,
That's
for
why you
what
say,
purpose?
Like, you're having a
It's
moment.
like instead of minutes.
Yeah, I need a moment.
You're like,
which is
I'm going to
exactly a
need
minute and a
40
half.
moments to do this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna need a moment, a minute and a half.
Yeah. It's
Aw.
interesting.
Now I'm gonna totally see these things as different.
Yeah.
Like, when I
Buttload for
say it,
sure.
Yeah.
Buttload.
Fathers could legally kill their daughters' lovers and their own daughters.
Oh.
So they weren't allowed. So fathers pretty much owned their daughters, and that was lifelong, even after they got married. They still ultimately had the decisions in their life. And so they would sell their daughters to the best suitor or whatever,
Whoever had the best cow.
whoever had the best cow, goat, pig, whatever, money. But until they were married, they weren't allowed to like fornicate. They weren't allowed to be intimate whatsoever or like be alone in the same room even. And if he caught them, he could literally kill. If he caught them like fooling around, if he didn't kill his daughter as well as the guy, it would be considered murder. So he had to kill them both.
Oh. Wow.
Yeah, it was really intense.
That's awful.
I don't like that.
I don't like
that.
I don't like it.
In medieval Germany, married couples could legally settle their disputes by fighting a marital duel. To even the field, get this, to even the field, the man had to fight from inside of a hole with one arm tied behind his back. The woman was free to move and was armed with a sack filled with rocks.
So they didn't have a whole lot of
Women
they really thought
were-
women were.
Like, oh, we're so
Shit.
strong that you have to be in a hole with one hand.
Yep.
I wonder how many women won.
I can imagine a lot of women
Most of
probably
them.
won
Most of
because
them.
that really would even, I mean, not necessarily even depending on the woman, obviously, but I couldn't overpower like half of my male friends. So if they
Yeah.
were behind a wall with one arm, I could definitely do it.
Yeah, this is good.
But that's
With
what
a
I mean.
sack of
Like,
rocks,
I
for
feel
sure.
like you could do something that would even it out a little bit. Like, I
Yeah.
feel like that definitely gives women more of,
Yeah, the upper hand.
yeah.
well, they also
because
thought that women were worth, a cow and
a cow and a
and-
pig. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. If you, or maybe not a pig because pigs are weird.
And eat children.
And eat children, I
apparently.
guess.
Well, pigs
Um,
will literally eat anything.
Anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
But I pictured it as like eating a live child.
See, I
probably-
picture it as like the child was dead or like unconscious.
Oh, and they
then
killed.
They probably
yeah.
ate him. This was their pregnancy test. Okay, I want to talk about the pregnancy test in 1350 BC. A woman was advised to moisten a wheat seed with urine, so she peed on a wheat seed, and if the seed sprouted, she was pregnant.
Oh.
Another way to perform a pregnancy test.
To wait to see if you get your period.
No. Okay. So they shoved a clove of garlic or an onion into her vagina at night.
Oh, let's shove an onion into Taylor.
Yep.
Gross.
And then
most disgusting
the next
thing ever.
morning, the doctor would come in and smell the woman's breath, and he claimed that he could smell that she was pregnant if he could smell the garlic on her breath or the onion.
What?
That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
For those of you that don't know, Taylor literally like hates
Loathes.
onions.
I loathe them.
Like if an onion was a person, she would definitely be in prison.
I would murder that person for sure. And cilantro would be second to that.
So she loves whenever
Both
she
of
gets
them.
tacos with cilantro and onion.
Oh my gosh.
I would rather die.
Funny, the longbow like arrow people.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Archers?
The archers.
Okay.
Robin Hood?
Okay.
Okay, so they could fire arrows more than 300 yards and required so much strength that the skeletons that people found of these archers could be identified just by their enlarged left arms. Isn't that cool?
Wait, your bones grow?
Well, it says the skeletons. Yeah, apparently their bone in their left arm was bigger than their right arm.
Sounds like a crack
It
of
does
bullshit.
sound like a crack of bullshit, but it was one of those things I read,
Well,
and I
also
was
I'm
like,
thinking-
yes, this is great.
I'm thinking that they hold the bow with their left arm and you pull back with your right.
What
Well,
the
maybe you're right-handed.
So you're assuming that everyone in the
is
medieval times is
left-handed?
left-handed.
Everyone's left-handed.
Even though less than
obviously.
2% of the population is left-handed now.
Well, you know what? Let's just chalk that up to bad research, and I'll just throw that one away. It might not be true.
I
I mean,
mean-
to think, can your bone grow?
No, but what I do think is interesting.
Wait, your bone can grow if you
If you have a
drink
condition,
milk.
No. False
Stop.
advertisement.
stop while we're behind.
Fake news.
Fake news.
No, your bones don't grow any larger than they already are. But maybe they didn't mean skeleton. Maybe they just meant like
Their body.
Their
like
muscles.
decomposing
Yeah.
body.
Weird. Okay. Well, that's fine.
Because if they're dead
Let's just
body,
pretend
I'm
I
sure
said
that.
that.
they're, like, yeah.
They
Let's
could identify the
with
dead
that.
body.
But also, to move on to
Yes.
something else, in castles, the stairwells ran clockwise, so attackers coming up the stairs had their sword hand, their right hand usually, against the wall's interior curve, which made it hard for them to swing their swords. Defenders had their swords on the outside wall, which meant more room to swing.
That's
They thought
so
of everything.
smart.
See,
Yeah.
I've never heard of that.
And cat burning was an accepted practice, thought to bring good luck.
Alive or dead?
Alive.
That's sad.
And they would it was custom to burn a barrel full of live cats over
barrel?
a bonfire as people shrieked with laughter while they signed and roasted. French kings often witnessed it and even ceremoniously started the fire.
Well, cats were known as like royalty in Egypt, so maybe that's like a racist thing.
Oh, I read that they used to shave their eyebrows in Egypt
Yeah.
after their cats died out of
Oh.
mourning.
Oh,
I knew that.
That was a thing.
That's also where eyeliner and mascara got started.
They
Was in
draw them on.
Egypt. With
interesting.
coal.
Yeah, and like iron, like they would make dyes and stuff and do all that.
Henna.
Henna.
Nice.
That's all that I had.
Well, I also kind of Googled because since I've been going back and watching Game of Thrones, they talk about a bowl of brown. A bowl of brown.
Oh, is it
Like
the
rice?
stew?
You know, it's like the stew.
Yeah.
So if you were like a peasant in, medieval times, this is what pretty much you would eat every day. It's a stew made by various pot shops in the alleys. It's often cooked for very long periods of time, simmering for year after year inside the same pot for years. How crazy is that? You just you'd take a scoop out, you'd eat it, and it would still be
you just
brewing.
keep adding
and you
things.
just keep adding things to it. So like vegetables and meat that probably isn't meat that you want to eat, like rats and stuff. And Like you would just take a scoop out and that's your lunch or your dinner, and it would just keep going forever. Continuously.
I feel like I would eat it in order not to die.
Oh, for sure.
Survival.
But it was pretty gross looking.
And if it's continuously cooking, it can't grow anything.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Do they just constantly keep a fire underneath it?
Yeah, I guess so.
They can't always have a fire going.
No, it probably cooled. It probably had things growing.
Yeah, it definitely.
was
But
probably
then you
pretty
like turn it
gross.
back on and like by lighting another fire. I'm like, turn it back on. Turn the oven back on.
Turn the oven on.
One last thing that I found
Yes.
is about the way people slept back then. It was common to have 2 sleeps per night. So you'd fall asleep for 4 or 5 hours, you'd wake up for like 2 or 3, and then fall back to sleep for another 3 or 4. And it was suggested that we may have evolved this way to tend to the fire in order to keep like everyone warm and safe in your village or wherever you are.
So really, I should be just stoking a fire somewhere when I wake up in the middle of the night.
Yep. And stay up for a couple hours and then go back to sleep.
Oh, that's the hard part.
I wonder if that would be better for you.
Maybe. I have heard that there are different sleep cycles for different genetic like people. I actually think that I'm a part of a different kind of sleep cycle
Or you need 10
where
hours.
I need a longer period of time and then I'm awake for a longer period of time. So like my day cycle is longer than the normal humans.
And I wake up 15 times a night and toss and turn and really probably only get like 2 REM cycles a night. Perpetually tired.
I think I sleep like a good 8 hours. And then
Yeah,
I like,
you're just a normal
yeah,
person.
I guess so.
Interesting.
Well, sometimes I go to bed at like, I get in bed around 9. I watch 2 hours of The Office on Cozy TV. And then I go to sleep around 11. And then I wake up between like 7:30 and 8. Then I like wake up and I do some yoga. And then I drink some coffee. And then I like start my day.
That's nice.
Usually I like
It's real nice.
wake up and I usually have like something to go do. So I don't really have like, I don't wake up and then
like slowly.
yeah.
This
Get
is a
into
new
the
thing
groove.
for me.
Oh, okay.
Now that like I own my own business and I make my own
Yeah.
hours,
Yeah.
like I've made sure that I like have my time in the morning.
Yeah.
Because I'm not a morning person and I'm trying to like develop that habit so that I don't murder my kids in the future.
Yeah. No, that's a good plan.
Yeah, that's good. That's kind of what I've gotten into too. Is like I'll wake up more like 8:39, because come on, it's me. But then I have a good hour of like doing whatever I want.
I also need like the listeners to know that when we first became friends, you didn't wake up till like 1 in the
Noon,
afternoon.
yeah.
I know it's
So,
weird.
like,
I've really
this is a
I've
big-
made leaps and bounds.
This is a huge thing. When Taylor says I wake up at 8:30, it's like wait, like
On
that's
purpose
5
for
hours
a
earlier
meeting.
than you
and you
used
don't
to.
have to.
No. We don't
Yeah.
understand.
It definitely feels like a difference, but it's nice to be able to slowly wake up and then get into work.
Yeah. I used to like rush all the time, and I've noticed that since I like stopped, I am like such a happier human.
Yeah.
It's like good to take time for yourself.
Yeah.
But some people, that time for themselves is to sleep.
Yep.
So
Well, this has been educational.
Yeah. It's been a nice little
fun.
segment.
yes.
Yes.
I finished my wine a long time ago,
Yeah.
so
I didn't
Me
start drinking
too.
until after I finished
Yeah, I
my
know.
crime, because I was like, I was already like, my mind was going in all different places, and I'm like, I don't even know how to talk right now. So
no
definitely
wine.
not gonna add in the wine. So now
Well,
I'm drinking
hey,
it.
if you guys want to sponsor us, just give us a little shout out on the Insta or email us at popcrimewine@gmail.com.
That is also our PayPal if you want to just send us, money for some wine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
do that.
We also have an Instagram and a Twitter and a Facebook. So if you want to look us up at Pop Crime and Wine, do that.
Do it.
that.
Or listen. Sorry, I was about to say watch, but we don't have video segments.
No.
Listen to a couple of our extra videos. They're called.
Bonuses.
Wait.
Boda bonuses? Oh my god.
Bonuses.
Oh, listen to our extra episodes called Boda Bonuses, where we drink Boda Box and we talk about crime. It's $2 a month, and you get 2 extra episodes every month. So
You just sounded like an infomercial.
Did I?
Yeah.
In a
I'm
good
kind of
way?
impressed.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Second time though, not when
Yeah,
you said
the first
extra,
time
extra.
where I was like, extra, the videos.
Extra, all about
We don't
it.
make videos,
Pop,
but
grab,
watch
and
these
wine.
videos.
Boda bodices.
Boda bonuses.
Bodices.
I think it's time to go.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're
we're
gonna go
done.
now.
We'll see you on.
No, we'll
see
see you
you
next
next time.
Tuesday.
Nope.
Next time.
We'll see you next Tuesday.
Bye.
Yes.
Are you ready to rumble?
Oh, we're doing a different
Oh.
song.
What song?
I was like,
I feel like that's the song you were doing too.
but then you were
so
like,
too, but it was lower.